What's going on, guys? We started the day off with some cool conversations that was sparked from some clips that we had watched. And we just wanted to get your perspective on this and kind of just bring you inside of our conversations, because as we began to talk, you were like, hold on, let's save it for the video.
Yeah, it was too good for you to miss, so.
So welcome into our living room.
Yes. So where we left off, the panel on Grapevine, they were discussing how Black men in particular choose, and we're generalizing, choose who they marry.
Yeah.
And is that different from how they choose their partners when they date?
Yeah, and that was just a segment of it. The broader thing was what the Black community and Latinx community. So you want to talk about the guy?
Yeah, go kick it off. What drove you?
Well, it wasn't what drove me, but I guess he was saying that what was the conversation? He was triggered by a comment from another panelist. And I guess she was speaking to how Black men marry outside of their race or marry light-skinned women to propel their social currency. And he was triggered because he said that he was a Haitian guy, Black guy, that had I guess, light-skinned girlfriend. And he was saying that not all men take that into consideration. Sometimes it's just whoever's sliding in his DMs.
Yeah.
And
I asked you, is that true?
Yeah, because he was saying that, there are some women out there who fetishize Black men. Yeah. Like non-Black women. And yeah, when you asked me that.
Even some Black women.
Yeah, even some Black women. And so when I heard that, I could somewhat understand what he was saying. At least I think I have a similar perspective of not perspective, but a understanding. So I think this is how I talk. So when he said that, I just feel that as Black men, a lot of the times the spaces that we're in, we are the pursuers. And I guess that's just men in general, but specifically with Black men, we're the pursuers. And depending on who you are and where, what your background is, the Black woman usually gets to decide out of the people who are trying to, get her, quote unquote, who she decides to pick. Normally, if you're talking about grade school, it's the dude with the nice clothes. It's the kid who plays sports or captain of the basketball team or whatever. And so as you get older, and you become, a man, now if you have women who are pursuing you, that's, something that a lot of men enjoy. So, hey, if it's a white woman, if it's an Asian woman, if it's a Latin woman, if it's, a non-Black woman or a light-skinned Black woman or whoever it is, then I'm probably gonna give them time of day. Because truth be told, there are more men sliding in DMs than women. And I mean, women do slide in DMs. And so I think that what he's saying is, if I have these women that are sliding in my DMs and I find them attractive, then I'm gonna talk to them. And he's not sitting there thinking, well, if I marry this woman, then my social status will be elevated. Like, sometimes it ain't that deep.
But we do acknowledge that some men do seek out, just as women may seek out a certain type of man. Sometimes men seek out a certain type of woman to elevate their social status.
No doubt.
And some even take it as far as to having children of a certain complexion to elevate their status.
Yeah, and to me it's just weird, the whole elevating your status thing. I know in many cultures.
Well, women do it all the time.
No, I get that, but I'm talking from a man perspective. I just never really considered marrying a particular person to elevate status. Now, that could be based on my upbringing and just kind of,
But even if you don't think about it like that, who you marry elevates your status, or it could decrease your status.
Well, first of all, I ain't have no status. So
no, I think we're talking two different things here. So when I say elevate your status, either a woman's gonna come into your life and help you.
But is that what they talking about?
No, I think it's it could be. When you say social status, okay, so when people look at you, they think a certain way about you because of who is on your arm.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You don't think people do that? When people look at you, they don't look at me and say, oh, he has this type of woman on his arm. That says this about him, just because of how I present myself, how I carry myself.
Yeah, I mean, I guess so, but
I think we're talking. So
I didn't consider that though. I wasn't thinking
that's what I'm saying.
If I was to marry this person, will people look at me a certain way when I walk in the door with her? I know people do that, and I know there are arranged marriages and all that. You know what I'm saying? And whatever works for you works for you. All I'm saying is it's hard for me to identify with that because I didn't think of that. Now, the only status I was worried about was what I thought. I could care less what a person thinks when we walk in the room and you're with me.
Yeah, but there is a level of social status that exists, whether you're a pro baller or if you're somebody who works at the mail office. But
then it's like, it exists it only exists to you if it's real to you. If it's not real to you, then I mean, it's a lot of things that go on in this world that is real to some people, but it's not real to others.
Like racism.
Certain aspects of racism.
Either it is or it isn't, right?
Not really. And because racism has been painted with such a broad brush, like how a person feel about me, not really racism. You know what I'm saying? So a person can feel however they want about me, but to me, it's not real to me if I don't choose to, Now, if a person is in a position of power and they can impose how they feel upon me in a physical form, then yeah.
So we're talking prejudice versus, we're going off on a tangent.
Yeah, I mean, and that's what I'm saying. Like when people hear racism, a lot of I know we know what racism is. So is racism real? Yes.
Is social status real?
Yes.
Okay. Now, whether you choose to buy into it or not, that's a different story, but it exists.
Yeah, it exists.
Okay. I was just trying to see if we were on the same page in that regard.
But all I'm saying is, even though it exists, it doesn't have to take any precedent in my life.
Yeah. But there are people who ascribe to that, and it does affect their decision in who they marry.
Yeah.
Now, well, I guess it kind of does carry over into if you date somebody, if you have certain dating preferences for, I guess, I don't want to say all or most or.
It's just the mindset behind it, I feel. Like you can date one person, but if you, and I guess just kind of based on that conversation that, the panelists were having. They were saying that, black men fetishize Latin women. And I feel like there are some black men who fetishize Latin women. They're all,
there are fetishes.
There are fetishes all over the place, right? Toes, nose, eyebrows, and everything else.
Right.
So, because that is real for some people, doesn't mean it's real for everybody. And so, you know, it's hard for me to, when I was hearing some of the thoughts on the conversation, it just kind of was weird to me because one guy said black men want their daughters to look a certain way, so they, you know, have babies with certain types of women. And that was strange for me because I had never really heard it like that. You know, I know people have kids, some black men want to have light-skinned babies, but then when I start to think about it, I start thinking about how, like, I don't want to use the word toxic because that's overused, but how troubling that was to hear, to even think about, as you know, as a married couple who's trying to have a kid, right? For me to sit here and think about how I want my kid to look like, I don't even care if my kid come out looking more like you than me. Like,
you shouldn't. Your baby be cute.
Well, true. But you know, it's people out there that, you know, if they say, if I've heard people, if they say that the baby looks more like the mom than the dad, then people have certain feelings about that. No, like, people have really, like, and they be holding up, they be posting pictures of them, like, who the baby look like most? Like, hey, people get triggered by all type of stuff.
Wow. But yes, people, I mean, that goes into a whole other conversation.
Yeah.
And rabbit hole of, you know, colorism and all that good stuff. But yeah, people do choose who they want to marry based on how they think that their kids will look.
Yeah.
I feel sorry for those who the baby may not come out exactly like they want, because then you impose that onto the child.
Yeah.
It's like,
and I think that's the dangerous thing.
much.
That's the dangerous thing, because it has to be something in you that you haven't necessarily dealt with in a healthy way.
Yeah.
For you to, you know, be thinking of that. Not, you know, I want a healthy baby. You know, I want a baby that has the freedoms that I didn't necessarily have to, you know, live out their dreams or to dream, you know, the dreams that they desire.
I want the baby to be whole and not have any restrictions on them. Like, that's my prayer.
To see a peaceful home, to know what joy is, to have self-love.
To laugh freely.
Yeah, and to have a childhood.
Right.
Yeah, but not, you know, I want my baby to have curly hair and
right.
Yeah. So.
And doe eyes and all this other foolishness that you see out there.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But so yeah, that perspective of the whole guys, there are some guys out there that, you know, they are not as picky with who they date. Then there are some guys out there that they have a specific thing that they're looking for in a woman. And you know, that's a person's prerogative, right? But then I think it's healthy for a person to realize where those preferences stem from.
Oh yeah.
And because, you know, that could be detrimental to the relationship if you go in with this fetish and you're not necessarily with the person for who they are, but for what they represent to you.
Yeah, the archetype. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. But then it could be just as simple as a subconscious thing that you don't even realize that you're picking someone. Just let's go with skin tone. You pick somebody that may be a darker complexion or a lighter complexion solely because your opposite sex parent was that, and you don't even realize it.
Yeah,
like that plays into it.
You brought that up earlier, and that was kind of new for me. I hadn't really considered that.
Yeah, take a look at your family and see either your cousins or however, look at the parents, and if that could have informed, see if there's a pattern, is what I'm saying. Because oftentimes we marry.
I think it's hit or miss.
I didn't say it was.
Yeah, I know it's not foolproof,
right?
But I think it's hit or miss, though. I don't think just, in the brief, you know, like kind of just rundown of what I'm doing in my head, it's really hit or miss.
Well, maybe it's more true in my family. or what I've seen.
Yeah.
Usually it's, you know, one person's lighter than the other person and vice versa.
Well, I mean, that's quite naturally though, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like lighter, darker, but specifically the skin tone of the opposite parent.
I said that sometimes plays a role in it because that's what you grew up seeing. So you might be naturally gravitate towards that. If there were some qualities in your parent or that you saw, you're like, I would like for my spouse to have that.
So you're saying subconsciously people are choosing the color of the opposite sex of the parent?
Not necessarily subconsciously, but I think it's more tied to the
preference.
No, the relationship that they had with their parent and how and what they consider to be a good quality.
I hear you.
And the skin tone may get caught up in that.
I got you. I'm sure it happens often, but I just don't know if it could be considered a pattern. Like just for me. You said it in your family, so you've considered this, but
I would say generally speaking, there's a pattern of one person may be light skinned, the other person may be a darker complexion.
But you know, it's a wide spectrum though.
I just said one is lighter than the other.
Yeah, but how many people out here just linking up with like the even tones though?
You know how much colorism is out here?
No,
and people like specifically want to get this.
But when you're saying one is lighter than the other, like that happens more often than not.
I'm not talking about a shade or two. I'm talking about a stark difference.
Oh, okay. I got you. Well, I understand that. Now I'm gonna be more conscious of that. Like looking.
Like you've never paid attention?
No. I mean, I've known like people in my family that, yeah, you have a light skin and a dark skin. Like that happened like generationally through my family. Mm-hmm. But as far as the opposites, the color of the opposite sex of the parent, mm-hmm. Nah.
That's usually.
I'm gonna check that out. What y'all think? And do y'all see that pattern in your families?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Ready to get into the next topic?
Let's go.
All right.